Hello, hello, hello. I have not been in here live for a while, and I thought I'd pop in just for some Q&A, just for some questions. If you have any questions, ask me anything. Even if you're catching this replay, you can post your questions below, and I'll do my best to answer. I was going to say ask me any questions, I might have the answers. Just anything. There's some stuff that I want to talk about that I want to know. I'm just going to give time to see if anybody comes in. Just anything, any questions that you might have. As I said, I have something I want to talk about, but if you have questions, you can put it in the replay, put it in the comment section, and I'll respond to them as best as I can, or I'll get somebody to respond to them. I want to talk about generational cycles and patterns of healing. There's something that I post on my private page this morning. I'm going to try and post it here in the group. And it says, I'm going to try and find it so I can read it for you. Hey, Vicky. It says, what isn't healed? No, let me just read it proper so I'm not paraphrasing. Sometimes pain submerges, meaning repress, until it can find a pathway for expression and resolution. So the pain that we have experienced, let me just see what the audio sounds like as I'm on Facebook. Let me see what the audio sounds like, if it's of good quality. Okay, good, right? So the pain that we've experienced, the things that we've encountered, and we've repressed it, it will find resolution somehow. Somehow it will come out. It will find a pathway of expression or resolution. Sometimes that pathway is in physical health problems. I was speaking to someone yesterday around stuff around wound care, how sometimes when we've experienced traumatic events, we have things like endometriosis and fibroids and other stuff wrong, with our wombs. Sometimes we have digestive disorders. Sometimes it's autoimmune illnesses, and sometimes hypertension, and it's a range of physical illnesses that repressed trauma is linked to, because the pain will find expression somehow. Sometimes some trauma symptoms are, some people struggle with sleeping, and you'll hear some people say, I can't sleep, I can only do 4 hours every night, or sometimes I can only sleep between 12 and 3, or some people sleep too much, which is both sometimes are symptoms of depression, but sometimes it's just a trauma response. Sometimes the depression is a trauma response. It's so as the body can no longer contain what you're repressing, and so it finds expression. Okay. Sometimes the anxiety as well is an expression. So there are a range of ways in which it expresses itself. Sometimes it comes out in the way we parent, and sometimes it comes out in the way we do relationship. And I have a course coming up on Sunday called Just Breathe, and it's specifically for parents who've experienced trauma, and how we can manage our triggers, manage what's going on for us, so that our children do not have any adverse effects of what we have experienced, because it does get passed on through generations. Sometimes some of the things that we are experiencing, and sometimes some of the things that you're going through, it's because of what happened the generation above that haven't been dealt with, haven't been resolved. The mother who never connected can't connect is as a result of their own unresolved trauma, because it will find expression somewhere. So why am I sharing this about some of the ways in which trauma will find expression and resolution? I'm sharing it because I want you to begin to be honest, for those who haven't started the journey yet, with yourself. And I answer on my page, Someone put that sometimes it will stay hidden until God knows that we can trust Him enough to take care of it. And yeah, I believe that um, our trauma will be revealed layer by layer, and God won't give us all of it to deal with all at once. And that's what I say to people when they start their healing journey. You won't just go, boom, you have to deal with it all today, because that will be overwhelming, and nobody can do that. I think the fear for some people, while they want to keep it repressed, is because they think they're going to be overwhelmed. Everything's going to be chucked in your lap, and you have to deal with it all on the same time. It doesn't work like that. It's one layer at a time, one layer at a time that is dealt with. And it's as one layer is healed, the next layer is dealt with, and the next layer is dealt with. If you can think of it as like those bottles on my shelf behind me. So we'll do one at a time, and they're so connected that when you deal with, if I were to deal with the purple bottle, say for example, the green one will be affected, and the next one will be affected. And so by the time I get to the last one, there's not much to do because you started that way. Okay. But as I said, it does come out. So the fear of this thing is going to overwhelm me stops so many people. And in order for it to stop, we have to have some way of coping. And so the ways that we have of coping is the unhealthy relationships that we have and enter into, and the toxic tendencies that we have, the unhealthy coping mechanisms that we employ, the way that we can connect authentically in our relationships, the way that I won't allow anybody close to me, the fact that you are distant and you're distant and aloof from people, the fact that you're combative and prickly, the fact that you don't trust people into your space, and there is a cycle and a pattern of being let down. There's so many ways in which this thing comes out, and so many things that we have to scaffold our lives because we're protecting this pain. I want to encourage you to, as I said, if you haven't started yet, for those who haven't yet, here's the thing too. Here is the clincher. You cannot do it on your own. No. I would be lying to you if I tell you could. And I said to a new client today, that's why I do retreats. That's why I do conferences. There's a mini retreat coming up in June. That's going to be we're going to announce it only at the conference. And it's going to be going deep with a small group of people. Now, as I said, you can't do it on your own. That's the clincher. And don't try to do it on your own. And I know that we're in a generation where people are doing self-help things, and everybody's on Facebook talking about living your purpose, and all you have to do is visualize and stuff like that. Not when you've experienced childhood trauma. This thing needs expert help. Okay. So, as training, the training that I'm doing and the training that I've done to work with people who've experienced trauma, I wouldn't tell you that this is a journey that you can take on your own. And you're going to need a range of things. You're going to need a therapist. You're going to need to attend retreats and conferences, like we have our conferences on the 24th of March in Leeds. And we have Karen Nichols Jordan that's going to help people deal with unresolved negative emotions. She has a special system that's trademarked, that she's designed to work with people who are healing from things like codependency and people pleasing and all of those unresolved stuff. And it's going to be in our magazine for those who have signed up to our magazine. I interviewed her for our magazine. It's an amazing system, an amazing program that she has designed, and she has the workbook that is going to be available at the conference as well, to take people step by step through this process. Now, because Karen's a coach and a transformational coach and a counselor who has walked her own journey and is going to help people. Now, using something like that alongside, the conference and the retreat, and walking with somebody to help you walk the journey, that's how you do it. Now, I appreciate you being in this Facebook group, but my job is to educate you so you can find support that is not only available, but resonates with you. Let me put it that way. That you can find support that resonates with you, where you can get the help that you need to move from one place to the next. because you cannot, hey Paula, nice to see you. You cannot do it on your own. It's not going to happen. And here's another thing. Prayer is one coping mechanism. You cannot only pray your way through it either. It will not happen only. Now, prayer is a big part, is a part of your bigger plan, because we absolutely need it. But if you're only planning to just do that and nothing else, you're going to find yourself disappointed, and you're going to find yourself, the trauma, finding expression in different ways. The trauma find expression, I mentioned parenting. Hey, sure. In parenting, the trauma also find expression in our relationships, in our romantic relationships and our interpersonal relationships. Now, how does it manifest in romantic relationships? And I talk about this all the time, and when I go and speak, I sometimes address this issue, because we're fighting about the thing that we're not really fighting about. Because what we're really fighting about is my trauma responses that somebody else touched on. My low self-esteem, my feeling that I'm not valid and that I'm worthy and I'm not lovable. But my husband said he loves me, and I don't really believe it. So it kind of, he says it and it's here and I'm here, and anything can make me feel unworthy or unloved. And so I feel like my whole life, not only my life, don't want to say it that way, I'm just trying to get you to understand. I will feel like my happiness, that's the thing, my happiness is completely dependent on his behavior. Now that's a lot. Your happiness cannot be dependent on anybody else except you. So whatever they do or don't do shouldn't be allowed to shift you from your position of being at peace and being content. Now things will come that will trouble the waters, definitely, because life is not neatly packaged and things will happen, and you might have to go work through it. But you have to learn how to find wholeness in yourself, with yourself, and not make it dependent on any external, like your husband or your best friend who let you down because they were disloyal. Okay, we have to learn to manage and know our fear of rejection, our fear of abandonment, our fear of not being seen, our fear of not being validated, and the way things. Absolutely. I mean, I love your mom. You know, she's a wise woman. You have to, it cannot be dependent on anyone else. But sometimes when we're so seasoned in rejection and abandonment, when we've hurt so much, we abandon ourselves. And so we abandon ourselves by handing ourselves over to somebody else for them to make us happy. And they can't. It's impossible. Okay. So that's one of the ways it shows up. Now, it shows up in many ways, and that's a whole nother discussion altogether. But I'm just trying to let you know some of the ways in which trauma will find expression and resolution in your physical health and in your relationships. Now, I think my question for you is, are you willing to make those sacrifices? Are you willing to do nothing? How much longer are you willing to do nothing? Yes. So through this platform, I provide, as I say, conferences and retreats. Last year, our conference was online, and we served over 2,000 people. But from the retreat, people says, Joanna, you can't do this only once a year. We need more. We need face-to-face contact. We need you to do more than one thing a year. So we decided to take the brave step of having our conference in Leeds in a hotel, one day only. One day only. We're going to love on you and give you tools. Please don't put it off any longer. The absolute deadline for you to be able to register is the 10th of March. After that, nobody else can be registered, because we need to give the details to the hotel of the people. We're going to feed you for the day, and we're going to not only feed you physical food, but we're going to give you, there'll be music, and just so much happening on that day that we're going to provide, give to you, so that you can have the tools to go home with, and you can have a plan. You can have a plan of what I'm going to do. I want a plan of what I'm going to do to make this thing, to change my life. I'm going to change my children's life. If somebody rang me and said, they want to get me to come internationally to speak. They said, we see the generational thing happening in our family from what you've been doing, Joanna. and I've been sending your videos to my family. We see the generational cycle, and our generation wants to stop it. Will you come and spend some time and help us? And I said, praise the Lord. Our generation wants to stop it. Are you willing to stop it for your generation, for your family, to change the structure of your family tree? Because you are going to make a decision to heal. You're not repressing it any longer, because it's going to find expression. If not for you, through your children or your children's children, they're going to bear the effects of it. If you're here and you're that age where you're having children and grandchildren and you haven't healed, look in your children and grandchildren for signs of your trauma, because it will be there. Or look in you for signs of your parents' trauma that you know that they've experienced, that they've not talked about or healed, and you'll see it. It's like footprints. And somebody was asking me, well, how, Joanna, how does it happen? How is that possible? And I'm going to be really quick. I have to go now. Like, take, for example, you know that heart disease is in your family. So there's the man, heart disease in his family. His grandfather had a heart attack at 45. His father did, and his older brother did. Now he knows that if he doesn't do something different, chances are when he hits 45, he is a high risk of having a heart attack. And so he changes diet, changes lifestyle, he exercises, he gets regular checkup, and he looks after himself. And 45 hits, and he's like, is it going to happen? But it doesn't, because of the changes that he has made. Now, had he done nothing except pray, God, please don't let me have a heart attack at 45, the way my grandfather did, my father did, and my older brother did, what are the chances of him having a heart attack? Very high, wouldn't it be? It's the same thing. The trauma that happens affects generations. Okay, so I'll end with this. An intellectual understanding is not enough. We need to take it a step further. We need more than an intellectual understanding of pain in order for it to heal. I hope that you are tired enough, angry enough to make a decision to say, you know what, enough is enough. I don't want to go experience this anymore. I'm ready to do something. Start at the conference. I mean, the conference, when somebody told me, said, Joanna, that's too cheap. I price it so that people will be able to, hey Joyce, I price the conference so that people will be able to afford to attend. Yeah. So this is not anything that's going to make anybody rich ever. I mean, you can't do this and do that. It's the service. It's in service for people. Okay, so I price it where, of course, we can cover our costs, but people can have the information that they'll need. I mean, these speakers are giving their time and resources, so don't miss out. Don't let anybody tell you that you shouldn't. Don't let anybody tell that you shouldn't need it. You stop telling yourself that you shouldn't need it, because if you know you do, please take a chance. Not take a chance, but make a decision to do something for you that's going to change the trajectory of the next generation. If you're watching the replay, please hashtag replay. The more comments we have, the more people in the group will see it. So the 300 of us here. But if sometimes not everybody, Facebook won't show everybody everything. So if you're watching the replay, please hashtag replay. If you're here, just say hello. If you're here live, the more we comment, the more people will see it. Love you all. Do take care. I'll see you again soon.